So today we're going to be working in a program called Photopea. Now we've been using pixel art, which has been okay, but the problem with that program is that it doesn't have enough functions, tools, or settings that allow us to really delve deep into raster-based editing. So we found this other program, and by we I mean a sophomore, found this other program called Photopea, and it is much more similar to Adobe Photoshop than pixel art is. It also has a lot more functions and things we can do in the program. So in order to open files in this program, first you go to the website itself, and then you'll see this prompt here. You can make a new project or open for your computer. Most of the time, Mr. Tron or myself will provide a file for you that you will download, so then opening from your computer will be what you need to do. So I'm going to open from my computer. I'm going to open up a Photoshop document that has been shared with me. And another great thing about this program is that it does in fact work with Photoshop documents. So it keeps layers, all the fun stuff. Let's talk about saving. So the problem with this program is that there's not a cloud that you can save to. When you go to File Save, it's going to give you this prompt here. It'll save it onto your computer and it'll keep the edits as long as you have your tab open. Just be mindful of that while you work. Another thing to note is that you can bring in multiple images into the same document. So let's say I wanted to open another document, I could, and it would open on another tab here. But let's say I wanted to place an image inside of this document, another photograph, I can go to File, Open in Place, and it'll allow me to import my image. So I'm going to pretend that this is the image I want to import. It'll bring the image into my document. Okay? Now, I have the option of arranging layers. So I'm going to hide this here. Your Layers panel is going to be very important for you to utilize, and layers just allow us to organize things and separate things. Now, in a raster-based program like pixel art or Photopea, your layers are really important because that's the only way you can edit things. You have to be on the correct layer. So selecting layers will be part of a skill you need to develop or practice again. Now, arranging layers is pretty easy. If you open up these little arrows here, I've kind of organized things for you. To arrange things like in order, you can click and drag them until you see that little black line and release. It'll change the order of your layers. You can also work with transformations. Now, transformations allow you to rotate, reflect, flip around your objects. So you might not have this when you get here. So let's pretend I just opened up Photopea and I wanted to make a selection. Technically, if I have this first tool here, which is called our Move tool, it's exactly the same name in Photoshop, I can click on something and move it around. But sometimes I want to rotate things. Now, there's two ways I can do this in the program. I can go to Edit, Transform, and then I have a whole bunch of different transformations. Transformations are changes, so I can rotate, change the perspective, flip it, things like that. Now, sometimes I don't want to have to do all these extra steps, so there's a quicker way of doing that. Right up here in your options bar that I mentioned earlier, you have something called Auto Select. Auto Select means wherever I click, the program will know I want that layer. So sometimes it's helpful. So let's say I click on this, I don't have to open up a million little layer panels. It's automatically going to select for me. There's also one called Transform Controls, and what that does is it puts the controls on the layer you chose. So for example, if I have this layer selected again, if I don't have Transform Controls, I can't see those little bounding boxes. But if I do have Transform Controls, it allows me to make my transformations without having to go to my menu. Just a helpful hint, some of you might like to have that on. I do because I just want to do this quicker. I don't love Auto Select because sometimes it doesn't let me choose what I want. It thinks I want something, like what if I wanted this and I couldn't get the exact selection, it keeps clicking the wrong thing. It can get kind of annoying. So I prefer to just activate my layers, but this will be a personal choice. And lastly, when you are kind of done with your file and you want to submit work to us through this program, you're going to export it as a JPEG. So in order to do that, you're going to go to File, Export As, and you'll see that you have a plethora of options. JPEG or PNGs are the ones we recommend because they're easier for us to grade and see. But you even have other ones. So there's so many options in this program, and it's a lot more user-friendly. So that's an overview of Photopea.